Goodness, I should have come up earlier to set this up better. It's probably fine. Okay. Make an announcement.
September 21st, 1987. It's been 1 year since I first went inside that house. I have to finish what I started. What I am about to do has not been approved by the Vatican.
Here we go again. I should have done this earlier. I forgot to tag. Oh well. Oh well. Crab's not here yet, I guess. I want to change the camera so it's more like I'm looking at chat. It'd have to be like right here, and I don't really like that because the window is really bright. We'll leave it like that. Have that open, and then get my iPad and do a little drawing in the meantime while I wait for people to come in. You guys can hear Butters. Well, let's see. We'll wait a little bit. If it ends up being a little while, I'll just change it to like just chatting because I'm gonna be on my iPad actually for this other art thing that I've been working on. I'm just always working on art, which is hilarious. So maybe if I just move the chat window, actually, we'll do it so it's like more in line. Yeah, yeah. I think that's good. Actually, yeah, we will change it to just chatting for the time being. I'll actually... I'll close that for now, and I'll put on some music. What kind of music should I put on? I should make this bigger too, actually. If I remember, video game tracks are actually okay, so we'll put this on. I hope it's okay. I'm pretty sure it is, because There we go. So, I guess we'll just wait for people to enter the little chat room. In the meantime, I'll just be working on stuff. I have it like right here. I have it. You can't see that. That, because I also draw in Procreate sometimes. This would probably be significantly more interesting if I had just drawn on, like, on my actual computer, but I would have to set up my tablet driver on here yet, or I still have yet to set up my tablet driver, so maybe it'd be more interesting if there was like a camera on the actual iPad. Anyways, actually, you have this over here. I'd like to get a hand cam. I think that'd be really fun because there's this really fun like video game challenge that I want to do. Before I got my actual desktop, I had a Mac that we got when I was in high school because my family, we're an Apple family. Like, we don't really like need like any, because in my personal opinion, or what I think I've observed at least, Android seems to be way more tailored for like more complex functionalities, and Apple is just has a really user-friendly UI and everything at the end of the day. So, you know, what ended up happening was around this time in high school, it's like my I don't remember what year it was, but we figured like, oh, well, Apple makes good products. We like the iPhones. Like, surely a Mac will be good, right? We get that, and I'm mostly using it for school, right? I had no idea about like online gaming like whatsoever when I was in high school, and it was just kind of funny because by the time I'm in college, my ex was trying to get me more into it. So we did get Steam. And we did, and we did play games for a bit on there. The big one was Borderlands 2. I love Borderlands, and after a certain point, the game had like updated, but it stopped updating the Mac version, which was a problem because that meant we couldn't really play anymore. I think what it was I forget the reasoning for doing this, but something about like Borderlands 3 coming up, something about Borderlands 3, something about the new DLC. I forget what it was exactly. Point being, we couldn't really play together anymore, and this was on a Mac. I didn't really have like a proper like mouse and keyboard for gaming either. It still had like the default mouse and everything. So I had a brilliant idea. My Wacom tablet. Drawing tablets, if anyone doesn't know, are just fancy mice at the end of the day. Like, they function the same. You can click, and there's different buttons that you can program to do whatever it is that you need them to do. So, my file on Borderlands, I was just like, alright, well, if I can't play with a mouse, I'll play with a drawing tablet. So, how did that go? So, I've tested drawing tablets in first-person shooter games on, like, 2 different computers. I still have yet to try it out with my Huion, because this was my old Wacom at the time, but the way it worked on my Mac, the screen is mapped to the tablet itself, and, how do I say this? When you move your mouse with the camera, it sort of, you can move it like 360 degrees, no problem, right? The thing with the tablet at the time, on that Mac and on the Wacom, because of the way it was mapped, if we pretend this is the tablet real quick, if you moved, like, your mouse over here, or your pen over here, expecting to do, a full turn, you would get stuck, because you could not move, like, beyond this point. And the same thing here. So you could only turn 180 degrees. Except, if you went into a menu, recentered your pen in the middle of the tablet, you could reset it, and you could just keep doing that and pausing and redoing that over and over and over again. And it was hilarious. So it was just a super, super inconvenient system at the end of the day. And, but it was really funny. The crazy part about it, got to some of the more, like, other functionalities. Mouse wheel on first-person shooter games, obviously you're gonna, like, cycle through your weapons, right? You can scroll with the Wacom tablet at the time, so what it was there was a button, like, right about here on the pen, and if you held that down and dragged it up and down your tablet, that's how you would scroll. And what ended up happening was it would go by so fast. It was like if your mouse wheel didn't have any friction and it just spun like a roulette. It was hilarious. So you could switch weapons like super fast, but it was like really shoddy, and you couldn't really, like, you had to move it a certain way if you wanted to choose, like, the right weapon, which was hilarious, of course. And then it gets even better. Now, first-person shooter games, I think they're best played mouse and keyboard controller can feel a little wonky sometimes, especially if like the thing is fast paced. Um, but you know, at the end of the day, mouse sensitivity and everything is always going to affect your aim. Well, with the tablet, it got insanely accurate. It was to the point where I could control like the recoil of the guns really well, and all of my sniper shots were headshots. Now, mind you, this is Borderlands 2, so it's not like getting headshots was the most like insane like skill trick in the world, but it was um but it was funny. It was funny how like how much easier it was to land those, cuz there was unironically so much more control over the gun. I think it was one of my cousins had told me like when I was doing the when I think I started doing this dumb challenge run on my own. One of my cousins was telling me that people on Apex Legends were actually using drawing tablets um, to improve their aim, which I think is hilarious because I've played Apex, um, like quite a lot actually. I have like a few hundred hours on it, something like that, and it was just really funny because the thought of like doing this, it I don't think it's viable in Apex, but maybe it was at the time. I do want to try it one day, but I feel like I would get banned for like third-party hardware or something. I'm not sure. It's very different playing with drawing tablets. It's very funny. Anyways, back to actually drawing. I'm trying. I don't think there's anyone watching the stream yet, which is fine. I should really be getting used to like talking like this if I want to do this like more regularly. I don't think most of my audience is big on streaming, which is fine. It's not like I am either. There's maybe like a small handful of people that I watch at any given point in time. I like YouTube videos. I think that's something I'd much rather do, but in order to do that, I would have to record, and I just don't really feel like having big uh video files on my desktop. I think it'd be a lot funnier if I just clipped it from the VOD and got it from there and then just stitched all of those together. Normally I'd have Clive here right now too, but he is knocked out. He is asleep. Is there anything important? I should really like not have notifications on my phone right now, but it's not really anything going on too important. Just a little birthday stream to have fun. If I start getting people in chat, I'll switch back to Faith, but like I just don't want to play without anyone here. So, yeah. This thing that I'm working on actually, it was for the D&D one-shot that I ran on Sunday. So, in case anyone doesn't know, I have two jobs. And it's not as crazy as it sounds. It just means that like a lot of weeks I'm working 6 days a week, which I think to an extent is kind of the norm when you're working like minimum wage stuff. So 5 days a week I'm at Carl's Jr. And then the one day, on the weekend I'm at this game store. And my boss, this is the entire reason why I wanted to work at the game store. Like, I got really excited for this. I really, really wanted to run like I wanted to get paid to run like D&D stuff because I love D&D and I really did miss being a DM and playing and everything. So I've been employed there since about August or so, and I think what it is that most of our events are going to be during the evening because that's when most people are going to show up to the store, right? Like even on a weekend. So, yeah, when my boss finally told me like, "Hey, do you want to do like a one shot for Halloween?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely." Um, I want to play that one shot tomorrow on stream too, but I have no idea if uh if the people who are interested in playing um are gonna be doing that. I need to message them again probably. So we'll see. Yeah, the D&D one shot went great. I'm gonna ramble about that a little bit. So, uh, the one shot is called "May Death Never Do Us Part," and considering I want to play this on stream tomorrow, I'm gonna refrain a little bit from talking about like what exactly went down. Um, but it was a lot of fun. So I get there. The Halloween turnout isn't super big. I think, you know, it's a small game store, small business to be expected. So I'm not too surprised. Um, so instead of playing like with customers, I ended up playing with like some other staff, with some other employees. And that was fun because when I asked my boss like, "Hey, what level should I write the one shot at?" Right? He said any level. So I'm like, "Okay, we'll do level 5 because I think a lot of people typically enjoy level 5 gameplay. I'm pretty used to level 5 and it should be it shouldn't be like too chaotic, and it's like a nice sort of like middle ground between like say level 1 and anything higher than 5." So I was just like, this should be fine, right? Um, so cut to Sunday. I'm standing there in the room. I have my laptop, I have my setup, I have my speaker for the soundtrack, and what ends up happening is my other employees, they walk in and are like, "Yeah, we're gonna play the one shot." I'm like, oh cool, yeah, we'll do that, we'll do that. And the so there was 3 people. I had balanced the one shot to be 2 to 4 players, and I was just going to fudge numbers around depending on how many players ended up showing up. Um, it's probably better if I actually did a display capture on. There we go. You can see my music now. Best soundtrack in the world, no questions asked. Anyways, um, I and you know the expectation for me was like, okay, well the people who are interested in D&D are probably going to be the people who already know how to play D&D. Um, that was not the case. So at least one person knew how to play D&D. The other 2 didn't, which was oh boy to me because again, everything was written and balanced down to because I did pre-made sheets for this too. Everything was supposed to be balanced to level 5. So 2 people, they walk in and it's like, "So this is our first time playing," and I'm like, "Oh boy." Oh boy, that's okay. That's okay. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this, right? Like I've been playing D&D since I was 16, and I've been a DM, or I've done like I wouldn't I haven't consistently been a DM for years, but I have DMing history, right? So I'm like, that's okay. I know a lot, and I think the way that I explain things can make things pretty simple to grasp at the end of the day, and it should come fairly naturally as we play the game. Especially because I think the hardest part of D&D is actually going to be making the character sheet. Again, I've done this like multiple times already, like so often. So, um, so I have no problem making the sheets, but I think if I had to do that for the store, that would have taken much longer. So I said, you know, we'll just play the one shot, and I'll explain things as they come up, because there's a ton of feats, there's a lot on the board for new players. We're gonna see how it goes. And it actually went really well. The cool thing about D&D is that when you act playing it is so much easier than like prepping to play it. Um so and the way that I like to do my one shots, I like role play and character based one shots. I'm not super in it for like min maxing or anything like that. I think that's kind of lame for a game where you can literally do anything. So, you know, it actually went super well. The role play and the banter. Hi, first time chat. Hello. Anyways, the roleplay and the super band and the banter between like everyone was a lot of fun. I had one of my players. For context, this is in an undead city in like a little world that I've been building for a webcomic. This is an undead city, and crawling claws, if you don't know, are just severed hands that just kind of like move about. They're kind of like so. They exit this place and they're out on the streets in the city. There's just a few of them crawling around. One of the barbarian in the team, she just goes, I step on it. And it's really funny because I'm like, the fun thing about D&D is that you can do anything and your actions do have consequences, but of course this isn't going to be something that I'm going to make like a major scene out of. Like, I'm not going to have it so like a bunch of people like stop on the street and then go, hey, what the hell, right? But I do describe it, and it does get like a little graphic with like the bones crunching and the blood sort of like squelching on the floor. Yeah, I am talking about D&D. We are definitely not stepping on severed hands at this game store. That we don't do that. We don't do that anymore. They caught us for that. So, the funny thing was describing that and just seeing her reaction, because she was like, oh my god. Why did that not why did that happen, but just like, oh my god, that's so sad, that's tragic. And I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty gruesome sight. And then, so on the team, it's a Dragonborn Barbarian, a Tiefling Bard, and an Aasimar Warlock. I thought an Aasimar would be funny. So the guy playing the Aasimar just goes, I pocket it. Like, I just reach out and I just... And, so there goes that. And I'm just laughing because, you know, as the DM, there's a lot of improv you have to do. And this was not a scenario that I had prepared for. So in my head, automatically, it's like, alright, this guy's planning something with a hand and I am scared. So, cut to what is probably one of the best scenes in the entire one-shot as it goes down. They're talking to this vampire lady, and she's talking to them about, like, she wants to find people who are, like, who can, like, put on, like, a very, like, dramatic and theatrical, like, battle for her little Colosseum blood sport. And the Aasimar, oh boy. The Aasimar, he just goes like, oh, I can do dramatic, watch this, and he flings the hand in her face. And we're all just like, the whole table just erupts in, uh-oh. Little buffer in the music. The whole table just erupts in laughter, and I'm like debating. I know in my head it's not going to turn out to be a combat encounter, and I'm just like, what am I going to do with this? Like, how is my silly NPC going to react? And she obviously it's not a great reaction. She's a very haughty, narcissistic vampire lady. Actually, real quick, if people want to see like who I based her off of, let me bring that down real quick. I based her off of this character because I thought this would be really fun. I thought this would be like a really fun character to play. To portray. Yeah, her. She's... Oh my god, my computer. This person. She is... I love her in the show. I don't know if anyone has watched Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I highly recommend it if you have Netflix. But yeah, she was really fun to, like, play as my vampire character, because I based her off of this person. And it was just really funny, like, imagining her and then like a severed hand gets flicked in her face. Obviously, I didn't punish my players for it because I didn't want the one shot to be like super punishing, and it was there is a time limit for these. Like we had a whole schedule for the day, and I didn't want it to be like super drawn out, super like inconvenient. So she does actually like she's not happy about it, but she did like there was like a level of respect for someone to do that. Like, yeah, maybe this person is like worthy to like compete in my little Coliseum thing. So that was funny. And then it happened again. So after the Coliseum fight, she's there congratulating the players, offering like, "Hey, the crowd really liked you. Do you want to like continue fighting in the Nexus?" The answer all around the team is no, and you know, it's not like that was going to impact anything at that point. The main goal of the one shot was done. And what ends up happening is the Aasimar, again, having picked up the hand, flings it in her face again. And we're all laughing. And then the way I played it out, I think, was like as soon as she like swipes it off her face, just like brushing off like any like caked blood or anything, there's just a dust cloud and an open door. Like, they're just gone. The players are gone, and they have successfully pranked my silly vampire lady. So that was a lot of fun. And then what ended up happening on Sunday, you know, I run the one shot, and the one shot actually went by pretty quickly. Like, even though it ran from like 11 to 2-ish, it actually didn't really feel all that long, which I was really happy about because I was 100% sure that, or certain that combat was gonna slog, but it didn't, and I was really happy about that. What ended up happening was we had 3 one-shot schedules for that day, so the DMs were me, my cousin, and then another employee. My cousin completely like misread our event calendar and thus didn't have anything ready for Sunday, which was unfortunate to say the least, and somebody did show up for the 3 o'clock one-shot. And it's like, uh-oh, we don't have anything ready. So I'm like, well, if you want, I could just run my one shot again. It's not really that big of a deal. It was just tiny bit of a deal, just because, you know, they take a while. And so this time around, it's 2 players, another employee, and this customer. This customer is really cool, by the way. Every other week, he has this whole like Smash tournament set up, and that's what he was doing at the store this week, and he just wanted to play a little bit of D&D. So there's 2 players this time, rebalance a few things here and there. It's definitely like way more scuffed than the first time around because my laptop is already like a little bit low on battery, and then my iPad, which I was using to keep track of like initiative and combat stuff, was also dying, so I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to do it on my phone then, and we can't do anything about that. The roleplay for the second group was absolutely hilarious. We made it it was pretty clear that these people were far more, like, familiar with, like, the roleplay and how D&D goes. At some point in the one shot, so on the table it's the Aasimar Warlock again, and then a 4th character that wasn't in play last session, a dwarf fighter. And what ended up happening was, to try and convince the vampire lady that they can fight in the Coliseum and put on a really good show, the Aasimar gets down on one knee, like, I've been waiting so long to tell you this, but will you marry me? And I'm just laughing because you can see, like, the other guy, and his face is just like side eye, and it's so awkward, and it's so over the top and everything. And it gets even better because now that they're putting on this show, I'm like, can you guys roll like a deception or a performance check? I forget which one I said. And you know, it's a at least the warlock, their charisma stat is high, so you'd hope that the dice would be nice to them at least. The dice were in fact not nice to them. I'm marginally sure both one of them rolled like a nat 1 on the deception. So right away she's not buying it. And then the dwarf just goes, I cut off his hand. And it just turns into like this whole thing where they're like trying to play out like, oh, it's a lover's quarrel, and it's like, this is what is happening? But yeah, we didn't actually finish the second one because it was time to set up the tournament, and more people were coming into the store for other things, and there was a different one-shot that was supposed to be run later that night, so that happened. The whole time I was there, I think at some point I was just like texting my family, just like, can you guys please come to the store and play board games? I'll run them. I'm hosting them like all day. And unfortunately, my mom was at work. My dad probably didn't feel like going. I know Clive's not super into board games, and Johnny was at work. And I can't say his name. I did ask him. Because I know last time I accidentally let it slip and we were just referring to him as the other brother. But I asked, and he was like, yeah, sure, and he's posting art again on Blue Sky, which I'm really excited about. But yeah. But yeah, it was just a little sad because I had learned on Wednesday, how to play like 3 board games because those were the board games that I was going to be running, right? So I was really hoping that people would show up because, you know, I had a lot of fun learning the games and I was excited to like teach people and like run games for them. But that didn't end up happening because I guess it's because I guess it was like maybe like the prices for the event, or maybe it was just the fact that Halloween board games just didn't sound as like fun to didn't sound as fun to people, which, you know, fair. Yeah, I can't be too upset about that. The board games that I had learned how to play was apparently there's a Jaws board game, there's a Shining board game like based off The Shining. And then there was another one that was just like a murder mystery. I forgot what it was called. The Jaws one was funny when I was learning it. So, but my boss is like really good at like the games and stuff. Up until this point, I had never won like a practice round against him or anything. And I think it's probably just on me, like not really like understanding them that well. But the Jaws one was really funny. Because I just remember reading the instructions and going, like, yeah, I'm not gonna be the 3 fishermen because this looks like a lot of words and I can't read, so I'm just gonna be the shark. I was really good at it for some reason. It was probably just like RNG because like the event cards that were laid out were really played in my favor at the end of the day. And I was like, I think within the first like 5 rounds, there's 2 phases in the board game. There's Act 1, which is just preparing for Act 2. And the way it works is, in Act 1, you as the shark want to eat as many beachgoers as possible. And then if you're playing fisherman, you want to stop the shark from eating all those fishgoers. And there are certain conditions that will force the game into Act 2, but otherwise Act 2 does inevitably happen. I don't know how long it takes for Act 2 to naturally just come about, but when I played, I got it in like 5 turns, which was really funny. So just the entirety of Act 2 was just me like absolutely like decimating my poor boss, and it was hilarious because we were just making jokes like, this isn't historically accurate, I know, and I'm like, I know, we've shattered the timeline. We're all geeks there. It's great. I love it. The Shining board game was especially funny because we had to rope in like 2 other people because the game is indeed for 3 to 5 players. That one was hilarious because we played the way that one works, it's basically kind of like Among Us if you played this other variant of the game. Somebody is the corrupted, which is, you can imagine, is the imposter, and the goal, essentially, is to make sure none of the hotel caretakers die. What ended up happening was... So, I should probably explain the rules. As caretakers in the hotel, you can make accusations. If you think you've figured out like who the corrupted is or the imposter. We'll call them corrupted because that's what it said in the game rules. You can only, however, the best thing about that is that for the entire game, all caretakers only have 1 accusation to throw. After that, no more getting accused of anything. The corrupted obviously can't because if they do that, they'll just use it up. But they can act like, they can like sort of deflect onto like other people, like, oh, well, I think it's this person, right? What ends up happening is we do get it right. We figure out who the corrupted is in the team, right? And it's almost like endgame. We're almost there at like end of the 4th round. That would have won the game for us. All we had to do was not die. So our one person on like 1 out of 3 hit points is just like, I have an idea, and I'm like, what is your idea? I'm gonna go in the elevator and do this and go to one of these safe rooms. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think you should do that because the elevator in that game, you have a 1 in 6 chance of taking damage if you use it. So I explained, like, no, the play should be you just run to the gardens because as soon as the Shining phase takes place, anyone in the gardens is safe from anyone in the hotel, and anyone in the hotel is safe from anyone in the gardens. They, like, if you're outside the building, you can't go and kill anyone inside the building already. Like, when the phase starts. So what ends up happening, but, like, I think we all got a little confused because the game was a bit confusing to figure out, like, how long each round was and so on and so forth. Ego's like, no, I'm gonna take the elevator. I'm like, if you roll the elevator face on the die, I am going to scream. He rolled the elevator. He rolled the elevator face. It was really funny. And again, if we had just survived that last round, caretakers would have won. But because one caretaker died, that loses the game for everyone. So that was hilarious, and we were all just. It was a really good time. I love working at that store. I wish I could get more hours there because I would love to have less hours at Carl's Jr. But you know, small business doesn't get too busy, and Carl's Jr. does pay like $20 an hour, and I'll be getting promoted there soon, which I'm not excited about, but it is happening. So what can I do? Is this the stream category? What does the stream category say? I hope it's not wrong, because I swear I cleared it. Yeah, I hit this, right? Oh well. I'm not gonna think too hard about that. So that was a lot of fun. And I was really happy that it did end up being fun because on Wednesday I was already scheduled to work at Carl's for like a 7-hour shift. And I was worried like, oh shoot, I'm gonna have to go straight to a Critical Hit to learn the board games, and I don't know how long that's gonna take, but I'm sure it's gonna be like a 10-hour day. But it was really nice though. My manager at Carl's, when I told her about that, she was like, no, you can just do like a 5-hour day, and then you can go to your game store. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. It still ended up being a 10-hour day, But like I did by going home early at Carl's when I did end up it like if I hadn't gone home or if I hadn't told my boss and I stayed for the whole 7 hours, that easily would have been like a 12-hour day, I think. It would have been way too long for me and I would have just been dead by the end of it. The last week has been insanely busy between like writing the one shot and getting the birthday poster out, which by the way, that birthday poster, I'm supposed to post the time lapse for it on YouTube, but I keep forgetting. I finished it last night at like 3 in the morning. Cause I was like, oh, I want to add rim lights because rim lights really like add like a nice effect to it, right? Maybe I should pull up the poster. Maybe that'll be fun. We'll show stream what we're talking about. Anyways. Here it is. So this poster. Oh my god. For context, I have done large posters like this in the past, and with significantly more characters, and those took like a month, I think. Like each. What ended up happening for this one was I wanted to ask early in October, but I think at that point I wasn't entirely sure like what I wanted to ask. Exactly, because I was like, is it going to be like an art raffle? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? But it's like, I don't want it to be an art raffle because I want to be able to draw as many characters as possible, but I also didn't want to, like, have my hand fall off mid-month because, again, these posters do take a while. I think I opened that thing October 10th-ish? Something like that. And throughout the entire month of October from that point onward, I was just grinding, like, getting this poster out because I wanted to get it out on time for today. So, there's 12 or 13 characters, give or take the dog here. It is quite the thing. And so, cut to me last night. All the highlights are in. I just want to, like, put rim lights, because, again, it looks really nice when you have the rim lights on. What I didn't... So, I'm, like, doing, like, these characters right here, right? I'm starting in the center and, like, going outwards like that. I'm doing, like, these center characters, and I'm like, oh, this'll go by quickly, because I don't need to add nearly as many, like, rims instead of highlights. That was at about 12:30 in the morning, and I figured it's only gonna take me, like, an hour or like half an hour. It took me until like past 3 in the morning. It was like 3:05, I think. When I had finally finished it all, and I was just like, okay, that might have been a mistake, but you know what? I'm not doing anything in the morning tomorrow besides stream, so we'll just. So this is fine. We'll just go to bed. We'll wake up at 10, and we'll schedule the post with the pictures and everything, so everyone can enjoy the poster. And then I wake up before my alarm, and I'm like, why am I awake? Right? I'm looking at my Twitter notifications, and it's not that I expect the notifications to be like right there, like right away, like oh, like this is gonna blow up on Twitter. I never really expect that most of the time, because, you know, small artist things, and I'm already, like, incredibly grateful for everything that I do get. What ended up happening was, when I scheduled the post, I guess sites don't really like it when you schedule things, like, a little too late, because I post art, like, 9 a.m. Pacific time every weekday. So I'd set it for that, but this was already, like, again, like, past 3 in the morning. And, I wake up, it's, like, something past 9, and I'm like, that's interesting that people haven't seen the poster yet. I would have thought they'd they'd seen that, because I think 9 a.m. has been like a really like good time for me to post. So I look, it's not there, and I'm like, I scheduled this. I know I scheduled this. I have the drafts, right? So I check my drafts and everything. They're still just sitting there, not posted. I'm like, this is supposed to be up by now. What happened? Obviously, I'm just like screaming that to myself, and I just kind of like scramble to like get it up. It's like, it's up, happy birthday. But so that was a little funny. A little chaotic, but you know, at the end of the day, still got it up, still got everything going, and I'm still insanely proud of this. I think drawing a full poster over the course of 19 days has is definitely like a record of mine. The most characters I've drawn on a poster, it's something like 21 or 22. And the cool thing about that one was that was my biggest project, and I was actually able to finish that in just a little bit under a month. It was like 2 or 3 days off from like the month mark. So this is definitely a record for me. I definitely want to do this more often. I think with the way that I've been wearing like my carpal tunnel brace every night, and just like with the work schedule that I do have, I do sort of get a lot of rest for my wrist. And I think if I continue to like do these big ones, maybe it'll like train something and it'll be, I won't be at too big of a risk for carpal tunnel, but we'll see. I do want to do this again. I love doing the community posters a lot. They're one of my favorite things to draw. One of the first one I did, the first really big one that I did, that was for Apex Legends, and I wanted to do like an Apex Legends X D&D thing. I think I might be able to find it, actually. Do I remember what I captioned it with? Oh, but I can't even search my own things on Twitter. I hate desktop sometimes because I just want to like search like right here, like under my posts, because there's no search bar for the posts here. But there is on mobile, but there isn't on desktop, so it's like I want to find it, but I don't. I don't even have the file on my desktop, so I can't really like show you guys. I can show you guys on my phone, or like send a link to chat, but so it's all right. We don't need to. But for that one, the game with that one was for every retweet that this sketch gets, and the sketch already had like something like 15 characters, I think. Maybe just 10. But I was like, for every retweet that I get on this post, I will add another character. Oh, you know what? I might be... Actually, hang on. If I just go to my YouTube channel, I might have linked the Twitter post there. I can't remember. Because I know the time lapse is up here somewhere. I used to stream, as you can see. It was all like Dungeons and Dragons stuff, and then I was just uploading like random clips. Druid poster time lapse. Here it is. Here it is. Here we go. We're so smart. This is gonna take forever to load because I'm streaming, but that's okay. I'll apologize to the rest of my family in advance for tanking the internet. But yeah, this was the first like massive poster that I did. And the game again for this one was for every, so I think what it was cut off here, so these 3 characters weren't on the board, and then I don't think these 3 were either, so there was already like or these 4 characters. So I think it was just Bloodhound, Mirage, Wraith, Rampart, Watson, Vantage, Fade, Crypto, Rhapsody, and Loba. It was just these characters, and that was already like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10. And I was like, guys, I'm gonna draw every I'm gonna draw another character for every single retweet this sketch gets. And again, the sketch was already huge, so that was funny. So as you can see, it definitely got a little bit bigger. And then, so this was the first big poster I did. I did this back in 2023, yeah. And then, if you actually just go back to my YouTube and look at the Druid poster. And then I did it again, because I'm insane. This is the second big poster that I did. I post it occasionally on like art shares and everything because I'm just super proud of this one. This is still one of my favorite pieces that I've done like to date. Oh boy. So for this one, this was end of 2023 when I opened this up. Again, I have my initial sketch and I just drop it like on Twitter, like, guys, don't even bother following me, don't even bother like liking or retweeting, you don't have to do any of that. Just drop a druid in the comments section and I'm gonna draw them. I'm gonna draw them on this poster. And I kept like, I kept having to ask that because I think at the time my account was still like super focused on Apex and stuff because I used to draw for that. And so it took a little bit to get it out, but I eventually did. And as you can see, this actually has way more characters, I think, than this one. Let me count. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 17 characters on this one, right? And then we go here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh, I guess it wasn't as much. I could have sworn this was closer to 20. Maybe I count wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I guess 19 for the turtle down there, and then 18 over here. So yeah, both just massive posters, and these took like so long to do. And then couple that with this one. So I have like 3 big posters now and I'm just very happy about it. I love doing these. I'm gonna do it again. I'm definitely gonna do it again like an insane person. I just the community posters I think are like my favorite things to do because I don't just want an audience. I think online I want like a little community, and maybe those mean the same thing technically, but to me I think the community is just way more tight-knit. This is again just my silly internet art corner where I do whatever, and it's just nice. I would like to get big as an artist. I want to be successful. I don't think there's anyone in the world who doesn't want to be successful, right? But right now, I'm super happy with where I'm at. Like, I feel like the space that I've created online is just... It feels tight-knit. It feels like... It feels very comfortable, and I hope everyone else in the community, if I may call it, I hope everyone feels the same way, because I think it's just nice bringing people together. I feel like I don't really see a lot of artists do this kind of thing. Oh, thank you for the happy birthday message. Thank you. We're just vibing. I was gonna play Faith today, but I think I just want to vibe. I'm very sleepy, and I still have dinner to go out to when this is done. The reason why I'm actually streaming right now instead of like spending time with family is because we don't usually do a lot during the day. Both my brothers are kind of night owls and they stay up, so they're asleep. And then Clive's gonna have class around 4 and he gets off close to 6, so we can't really do anything until he's back from class later on, because, you know, you don't want to like drive super far out and then he's late for class or he misses it, because he kind of can't really afford to do that. But yeah, we're just talking about art. We're just talking about the silly community that I have going on. So is everyone just waiting to get ready? I get that from my own birthdays. Yeah, mostly. I mean, I'm pretty much gonna be ready to go whenever. Stream's probably gonna be done by 2 p.m. just because I don't want to spend too long in front of my computer. And I think it's fair that I go downstairs and have the day to myself to an extent, because I have been working on this thing for like the entire month, most of October. Yeah. Birthday plans today? After this, after Clive gets back from school or college, community college, I wanted to eat Japanese. I think for the last 2 years, I wanted Filipino because I'm Filipino. But today I wanted Japanese, and I'm hoping we find a good place because my dad really doesn't like Japanese, and he was asking me yesterday in the car, like, do you want a buffet? And I'm like, I don't really want to go to a buffet. They're just not worth it for me. I can't eat a lot. And I don't mean that in like a I'm on a diet kind of thing. I mean that I just have a really small stomach and I can't eat as much as I should at a buffet. So I hope we find a place, because I couldn't think of anything. Because the other thing too, I want to get a cake from Red Ribbon, ube cake. It's actually ube cake is the one that's right here actually. Like, it's really good. I don't know if anyone has had ube in chat has had ube before. Yeah, but it's a really good flavor. It's getting way more popular in the States now. Like, Jack in the Box has an ube shake for Halloween, which I think is kind of wild. How do I explain it? It's interesting that, yeah, never had ube, I'm afraid. It's okay, I don't expect a lot of people to. But it is interesting as, like, someone who has, like, exclusively only seen, like, ube in, like, Filipino stores. Suddenly seeing it in Jack in the Box is just kind of wild, because it's like, where did you get that? And I don't mean it as, like, oh, well, you're not Filipino, so you can't serve, or you're not a Filipino chain, so you can't serve ube. I don't mean it like that. That is the last thing that I mean. I mean it in, it's just interesting that that you would sell that, because again, it's just not really a common thing, like, ever in American stores. I live in California, by the way, so there's like a few cities that I think have like bigger, like, Pinoy populations. It's just, the city that I live in right now is just not one of them. So we don't get a lot of it. I'm getting birthday wishes on Twitter. I think I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick, and then I'm gonna take some time to check notifications real quick on my phone. And then we'll be back with more vibes. Alrighty, I am back. I'm just gonna respond to some messages real quick. Yeah. I don't know how many people are in chat, but how is everyone's day so far? Yeah, nice, welcome back. We're gonna respond to stuff real quick. There we go. I'll give you a little follow back. There's some bats and God, all the birthday wishes are so nice. I'm glad I was able to do this because this is a loving labor and I really do enjoy. So the day is basically over. Oh, that's nice. I hope your day. That's nice to hear that your day was decent, that you're getting some rest. Yeah, of course. Thank you for the follow too. I like to follow people back a lot whenever I can. But yeah. Germany, that's really exciting. I think I'm actually me and my family I think are going to Germany next year, or it might have been 2026. I can't remember. But we're going to Germany. Me and Clive are particularly excited for it's kind of a silly reason. Clive's a massive gearhead. Both him and my dad are. Both him and my dad are, and it was really funny learning this fact. I imagine you probably know. You might know this. It was hilarious because Clive one day told me that Volkswagen doesn't just produce automobiles and car parts and everything. They have their own sausage, which I think is just hilarious. Oh, hi, Ro! Thank you for the birthday wishes. Love seeing you here. But anyways, it was hilarious because we try. Yeah, they sure do. As it turned, I think he has the part number memorized. I don't. But we looked it up. It is like their #1 manufactured part, which I think is just kind of funny. Thank you, Ro. Thank you. Yeah, the art. I was up till 3 finishing it off. But yeah, like, thank you so much for all the support. I saw your quote. I'm trying to, like, reply to it right now, but I'm also, like, talking to chat, and I'm gonna feel really weird if I'm just, like, messaging Twitter on my phone, like me. So, yeah, but unfortunately, they don't sell the Volkswagen currywurst. I think that's what it's called here in the States. So, me and Clive are just there, like, we need to go to Germany. We need to buy that sausage, and then we need to drive on the Autobahn. Like, that is my goals for Germany. I'm a little, like, nervous about it, though. The last time I went on, like, a huge vacation like that was 2022. And, enjoy talking to chat. Thank you. The last time I went on vacation was with my mom. So, could you call it a culinary travel? Yeah, I'd absolutely love to. I think trying new food is great. Like, on the subject of that, the last big vacation I went to was Barcelona with my mom, and just my mom, so I love story time. I have so much story time shenanigans to share. So, it's just me and my mom on the trip to Barcelona, and on the subject of culinary stuff, incredible food in Barcelona. The paella was great, and so was literally everything else that we had there. If I could remember it all off the top of my head, I would, but it was 2 years ago. Over 2 years ago, almost 3. It it was really cool there. I absolutely loved everything that I saw. Um, there was just like a few funny little like hiccups when we were there. Yeah, I definitely want to see the rest of Spain because I took Spanish class and two of my Spanish teachers were from Spain and they always made it sound like really lovely. I'm like that would be really fun if I go there. But more back to the story. When we first arrived there, we're in the taxi and I'm looking at at all the store names and everything. And I'm like, well, I took Spanish in high school, but some of these words look very different. For example, my last name, the word mercado, though, that I recognize that means market, right? I've known that since I was little because it is literally my last name. But when we're driving by when the taxi's driving by all these stores, they all say mercat, right? And I'm like, I don't remember that being the right word for market, but I'll go along with it because what am I gonna do? Say that it's wrong? No, that's insane. But I was like a little like confused, right? So we get to our first tour. The tour guide finally explains they don't exactly speak Spanish in Barcelona. It's Catalan. And I was like, oh shoot. That's why everything looks different. And just a little bit of panic sets in because it's like only a little bit, and it doesn't last for super long because it's me realizing like if we get lost and I need to like talk to people, the language is going to be slightly different and I'm going to be stupid. But then I remembered like it's close enough to Spanish, and I think a lot of people over there actually like learn it anyways, and the words are really similar, so it wasn't too big of a deal. And it's a good thing that it wasn't too big of a deal, because it's the second or third day of the trip. We're taking a taxi to another like tour guide location. Except when we make this turn, the whole street is under construction and you can't drive there, so he has to drop us off just a little bit early, right? And he's giving us the directions in Spanish or Catalan, and I couldn't tell you like which from which, like just by listening to it, because I'm not fluent in either. And he's giving us directions how to get to the thing. And I'm just there like, oh, do we walk like this way? Because I misunderstood everything. And he's like, no. Like, you go left, actually, or right. It was one of the two directions. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And we get out of the car. And my mom's like, so where do we go? I'm like, we're going to go this way. And she's like, oh, it's a good thing you understood because I didn't understand any of that. And that was the point where I was just like, if I had let my mom go by herself on this trip, she would have gotten lost. So, so that was really funny. And I think over the recent, like, year and a half or so, I've actually gotten, like, much better at Spanish. But that's primarily because at Carl's Jr., yeah, thankfully it all went well. I'm glad too, because that would have been like unfortunate. Like my mom goes to Spain by herself, and then because of this one thing, she gets lost and I never see her again. That would have been insanity. So it's a good thing I went with her and I knew how to ask for directions. I've definitely gotten a lot better at my Spanish, I think, in more recent times. At work, there's a lot of only people who only speak Spanish who come to the store, and this is gonna lead to more funny stories. I'm just chock full of these because my life is just what is even going on sometimes. So I've gotten a lot better at it, but reality, yeah, BRB, of course, no problem. You can save the stories for a moment, and I will continue this funny tangent when you get back. Reply to this real quick. Blue Sky has been... there's so many birthday wishes. It's so happy. Or it's really... I mean this in like the best way. Anyone online is looking for attention, and that's not wrong, and I don't think people should be shamed for like trying to get attention. That's kind of the game. That's to be expected. It's good to have attention because then your work gets out there, and that's going to allow you to make more connections, more of everything, right? And stuff. So so it's not that I did this for the attention though. Just solely. I think doing it solely for that is kind of not malicious to say, but it's just kind of, it feels way more disingenuous to me. That being said, every single happy birthday wish that I've gotten so far, just, God, I get like the biggest smile on my face, and I'm like, it's really cool that like these people, some of them from people who I don't even think like follow me on Twitter, they just see this and it's like it's this person's birthday, and I'm gonna wish. I think it's a really cool thing that people do. It's really nice when people are really sweet online, and it makes me happy, and it makes me think that the world maybe isn't such a bad place. Maybe the internet isn't going to complete shit. And I don't think I don't think it is. I know some people will say like, oh, this is just like a cesspool of everything and it's bad. Like, grr. Right? And it's like, go touch grass, go do this. And then, yeah, go touch grass, but do not downplay, like, the significance of being able to make connections with people who are, like, across the globe or across the country. The internet is an important tool, and this goes back to my whole conversation about community. I don't necessarily want an audience sometimes, because I want things to be, like, really tight-knit. I want a little community that people can join and feel safe in. And I think a huge part of that is just fostering positivity. There's no greater unifying force, I think, than hate. And it's kind of sad. Like, when Velma came out on HBO, the whole internet banded together to hate on that show. And for as, like, funny as it was, like, kind of wholesome to see that, like, there are things people just band together on. But at the same time, too, hate is not really something that you want to be fostering. I don't like that. I don't, like, it's very much not me, and it's very much, I think, harmful for the way people interact online. What I love a lot more is just, like, just positivity and encouraging words and everything. So that's part of the reason why I do these community posters. I don't just want to, like, receive all these likes and retweets. I want to be able to give back, hence why I was asking people, send me your OCs and we'll have a little birthday party. And asking for support isn't exactly something I feel comfortable doing either sometimes, because in my head I feel like if I want your support, I have to earn it somehow. And I think that's a valid thing to have. And I think it's valid if people ask for it too. Like, there's no shame in that. But, I think I like doing this, like, way more. I love drawing for other people. And these posters are just like a wonderful excuse to bring a lot of people together and just these posters are just a wonderful excuse to bring a lot of people together for like one thing, and it's not like a hateful or spiteful thing like other things that seem to bring a lot of people together in recent times. Like, if you talk about like a new, for example, commentary channels, if you talk about like things that you really like, I think a lot of people might be a little like more disinterested because it's just like, oh well, it's not like super important. There's nothing like no earth-shattering like revelations here, right? And that's fine, but I you know, I think everyone's work is important. I think I think anything that anyone puts for the internet to see is like absolutely incredible. And it should be praised, and it should get all the attention that it deserves. But unfortunately, I think in a lot of cases, people are way more likely to jump onto like a hate train than they are like a positivity train. Like, if you call someone out on Twitter and it goes big, people are going to be so quick to just like jump in on that. But whereas something like what Ro does, or like with some things that I do with my art shares, people aren't as going to be as like quick to jump on that. Like, maybe some of them will be, but it's like it's unfortunate to see that sometimes hate is so much more powerful than love. But at the end of the day, hate is not something that I really want to foster. I want to get along with my community. I want to be close with them, and I want to show that everything that everyone has done for me so far is just massively appreciated. And I know for birthdays, it should technically be about me, but I don't really want it to be. I mean, yeah, I'm at the center of the poster, but like, I've drawn everyone else and I had so much fun like doing it. I love being able to give back to everyone who has supported me and who continues to support me. It's a wonderful experience. And I can't really imagine like asking for anything more on my birthday when the support has already been phenomenal to me. Like, I've been a small artist for such a long time now that everything, like seeing a post to get 20 likes is insane to me, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is incredible. And I still get excited when people retweet. I still get excited when people like. I still get excited when people comment. I still get excited when people follow. And I never want to lose sight of how like unbelievably grateful all of that is. And for every gratitude post I make on Twitter, I genuinely, truly do mean it from the bottom of my heart, because this is something I've wanted to do forever, and it's incredible to me that it's like it's happening. Very slowly, but you know what? We take it one day at a time, and the music stopped. What happened? Yeah, continue playing. We're listening to music. What is there to watch? But yeah. Today's been a great day so far, and I'm very happy. I'm also very happy that talking into the little void here hasn't been like too stressful. Like, I'm definitely running my mouth a little dry, but I have my bottle of water here. Let's see. Yeah. Join the community. We got cake, we got balloons, and we got boxes that I'm not even sure what's in there. I'm not gonna lie, I felt weird drawing the boxes, because I don't really expect things on my birthday anymore. In fact, a lot of times I hate receiving stuff. If it's for work, then, you know, like I'll gladly get paid for that, right? Like commissions and stuff. But like I don't like receiving things sometimes because I feel like so bad. I always feel like I need to like repay someone. I always feel like I need to do like X, Y, or Z because it's incredible that anyone would get me anything, in my opinion, and I can't wrap my head around it sometimes. So I felt weird, not gonna lie, drawing all the little gift boxes. I think in my personal little headcanon, they're just empty and we're just carrying them around for like decoration in the poster. I care way more about making sure everyone in this poster gets a slice of cake than if I open the boxes. Yeah. I forgot, I was actually drawing. Again, I should really set up my Huion so I can actually draw on my desktop, and then we can actually do art streams. You guys can see what I'm doing. You'd think after doing this massive poster I wouldn't be drawing, but as it turns out, I am insane, and I should probably be thrown into like a little like laboratory and my brain cut out so it could be dissected, and scientists can figure out what it is that gets me to keep doing this thing even though I know I should be resting. And again, my wrist honestly doesn't hurt all that bad. It's pretty fine. So I'm not too concerned. If I feel it like starting to hurt or anything, I'll definitely like stop and we'll do other things. But in the meantime, it's not hurting, so I'm gonna keep drawing because I love drawing. I can't really imagine myself doing anything else. My brother says Johnny says I should make more time to play video games, and I'm like, you're right, I should, and I was supposed to have more time to play video games, but as soon as I decided on a stream schedule, which was Sunday, because as soon as I decided on a stream schedule, my boss at my second job was like, hey, you can start coming back into the store now. So I'll be there again on Sunday, so I won't be able to do stream. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for an extra day off. I don't really want to stream on Mondays, because, yeah, I just don't feel like it. I think Tuesdays is a good option, especially for, like, the time period that I'm planning on doing it. So, I want to see if I can get Tuesdays off, especially because Tuesdays are typically my shorter shifts at Carl's. So because of that, I think it's just I think it'll just be a good idea. Like, hey, if you really don't need me, like, for the full 8 hours on Tuesdays, from this point onward, do you think I could just get those days off? And I'm sure my boss will be fine with it, mostly. And then we'll be able to do, like, weekly streams on Tuesdays instead of Sundays. Hoping people are enjoying the yap session. I love yapping. I wish Clive was here so I could like yap back and forth with him, but alas, he is asleep, and so is Johnny. So what I'm drawing right now is actually the I wanted to get this out like way sooner, but this thing here took up so much of my time. What I'm actually working on is like a little poster for my Halloween one-shot that I ran on Sunday at the store. Turn down the brightness so it should like show up better. Yeah. I haven't made too much progress because I have been yapping a lot, but I wanted to get this out for like advertisement and stuff, and because I really like it, and also I really wanted to draw the characters that were seen. The one-shot's very silly, very lighthearted and goofy. Probably the opposite vibe that you would want for Halloween, but this is a game store and I was Like, there was gonna be the risk that I was running it for children. And by children, I mean, like, young teens and stuff. So I was like, maybe I should cut back just a tiny bit on the horror thing. And, we'll make a fun one-shot out of, like, an undead city. I mentioned earlier that the undead city is part of this world that I'm building for a webcomic. I haven't talked a lot about it recently. There was a period of time in Twitter where I was like constantly talking about it because I really wanted to like start getting it rolled out. But due to a lot of things, we haven't been able to start it. My brother Johnny, I should talk about like what the webcomic is first. So, the webcomic is based off of an old campaign that my cousin used to run for us, whenever we went to parties and stuff. Obviously I didn't want to use like his exact world or anything. So I made up my own, and honestly this world has existed for a long time already. It's where I store all of my OCs that aren't currently in use. They all live up there, rent-free in my head, because I haven't actually put down a lot of world building to paper yet. So, Akora is the name of the world, D&D setting, but instead of any traditional fantasy, and everything, it's actually way closer to, like, modern, society with some sci-fi, like, just lightly sprinkled in there. And the reason why I do that is because, one, I think I think it's not necessarily more unique, but a little bit more uncommon. Yeah, it is a lot of fun. So, so that's the world setting, and my dumbass was, I wanted to create like a, I don't want to say that I wanted to create a unique story because I feel like that's the thing that's said a lot. But I wanted to create like a very sort of like sort of fun setting and then sort of dystopian at the same time. So what it is in Akora is it's this like sort of modern fantasy setting, and that is, and the big thing about Akora is that there are a bunch of adventurers guilds, and there's a bunch of and the core idea of it is that adventuring has been like mass commercialized. So you guys know how like a lot of young people want to be influencers these days, myself kind of included. I'm not sure how big I'm going to be on that, but a lot of influencers want to, or a lot of young kids want to be influencers these days. So the idea, but of course, that's a lot of people. So when the industry is like super impacted, it's hard to like gain a footing, which is exactly like why it's social media has been like fun, like very silly and funny as of late, right? So I thought it would be fun to translate that to adventuring. A lot of people in Akora want to be, yeah, exactly. It's sort of. So, adventuring has been mass commercialized in my world. Everyone wants a chance at becoming Akora's, like, next big legend. And one of the reasons why this has happened is because the guilds have sort of, like, streamlined this thing, whereas originally they were just kind of there to, like, train adventurers and act as a way for common people to ask adventurers for help with like job listings and stuff. It has now become way more of an e-sport, and I know that sounds hilarious. So what it is, when you join a guild, you get a badge and a rank, and every time you complete a job, there is a number of RP that is awarded to your guild profile that allows you to climb up like the ranks and everything. When you reach a certain point, when you're in the top 100 of a guild, you get placed onto a leaderboard. And I think the leaderboard rankings are something like like bronze, silver, gold, and then guild masters or platinum. I forget what I put there. I have it written down somewhere. But yeah, adventuring is an esport in this world, which on one hand sounds very funny, right? Like, I have like a doodle of one of the comic characters going like, I don't mean to sound like a bummer or anything, but we've been hard stuck gold for a while now, or something like that. And she wants to break into the guild leaderboards. Like, that's one of her motivations in the comic. So it to me, it's the fact that like a phrase like that, like we've been hard stuck this rank for a while now, but like for adventuring, I think is hilarious. But I think it's also like tragically dystopian too, because then part of it becomes like, oh well, sometimes when you're helping people now, there isn't the incentive to just help people. It's to climb up this it's to climb up the ranks and everything. It's a unique concept, but you could definitely pull that off. With reputation on the line, people will do everything. Yeah, exactly. And it's messed up. And then I think I like to think too that there's a strange desensitization to it at this point, because let's be fair, murder in D&D, like the legality of it kind of varies. Like, if you murder someone in a city, yeah, people are gonna notice that. But if you murder someone like on the road because they were trying to like, because of X, Y, and Z, there's no real consequences for that. So I thought that's always been like an interesting point to me, I think, about D&D. So I've translated that here, where sometimes adventurers will live stream their exploits, and sometimes on camera there is just going to be like a whole battle sequence. And the tragedy of Akora, I think, is that so many people are desensitized to the violence that they don't realize how messed up it actually is. And it's probably going to be a point that's like sort of touched on, but not a huge focus on it. I don't want it to be that. I just want it to be like an underlying thing. At the end of the day, I'm not really much of a writer. I'm definitely a stronger world builder. So I like those implications. Like, I'm not directly obviously in the comic, I'm not directly gonna say like all these messed up things about the world, but the implications, I think, speak volumes for the kind of world that it is. And speaking on like the setting itself, I am a personal subscriber to the idea that fantasy worlds should 100% progress way faster than the real world. Like, in Baldur's Gate 3, like, there are literal, like, automatons acting as, like, police, the Steel Watch. Like, actual robots. Like, functionally, they are robots. And it's wild to me that in a setting like that, not a single, like, bicycle is to be seen. And I get it, immersion breaking, it doesn't fit into the world, but there are ways to make it fit into the world, just like the way we had the robots fit into the world. So it's like, the progression of technology, to me, doesn't make sense. And I know it doesn't have to make sense, but it's kind of nice when it does. And I'm probably reading into it way too much, right? And I get that. But, I just think it's interesting, the idea that, like, I just think it's interesting that the idea that in a world with magic, with robots, with literal spaceships even, like spelljammers and stuff, they don't have single person transportation like bikes or skateboards. They don't have better ways of communication. They don't have radios. They don't have a lot of things. Which, again, is insane to me. Like, Like, you're telling me that Faerun got spaceships before they got the radio? Like, no, the progression of technology is stupid and silly when it's like that. So, what am I supposed to make of that? I wanted it to be like the complete opposite from my world, where technology actually advanced much faster because of the existence of magic. And I think Avatar: The Last Airbender Into the Legend of Korra actually plays that really well. If you have a webtoon, and I don't know if it's region locked actually. I don't think it is. But the Avatar: The Last Airbender comics are available on webtoon. Like, they're uploading everything, right? And it's all in like one thing, so you can just like sit down and like binge read it for a day. I want you to just imagine for a moment, like, Aang and Katara and everyone else, like, they're just standing there, and it's this little like Earth Kingdom thing, village, right? And you can tell it's still very like rustic, it's still very like old-timey. And then there is a factory, like a not modern factory, but there is a factory like producing stuff. And they are driving forklifts around. And I was talking with Johnny about this like a few nights ago, cuz that did come up in the comic. A forklift isn't even like the craziest piece of technology to be put into the Avatar: The Last Airbender universe, because if you remember the solar eclipse episodes, they had submarines. They had submarines that were based off of whales. They had like airships, they had tanks. There was a giant drill that was gonna go into Ba Sing Se. And you're telling me that in the 100 years that this war has been going on, the only form of long-distance communication they had was the Firehawks, like the messenger hawks. Like, no! Not to shit on the world building, because it's still great, and it still makes for a really, like, fascinating setting to immerse yourself in. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that it's kind of crazy that you would have all of these things before this other thing that feels like infinitely like simpler. And maybe I'm wrong with like the timeline of stuff. Maybe the radio did come like way after tanks, but like the technology again in The Last Airbender is really ahead of its time. Like, some of them at least. Not all of them, but definitely some of them. So that's why I like it a lot in The Legend of Korra, because it's a 1920s setting. You can tell that the world definitely progresses way faster technology-wise because of the existence of bending. And I think I think that is something that should be like kept in mind when writing fantasy worlds sometimes. Like, there are certain things that are just going to happen a lot faster and a lot easier because there is magic to facilitate that innovation. And that was a really, really weird tangent for me to go off of from like my comic, but it is what it is. I have a special talent for just talking on one thing and then ending the conversation on another. But yeah, Ikora, my brother is supposed to be doing, Johnny, who is an actual art major unlike me, is supposed to be on backgrounds and inking, but because both of us are really busy, I said, you know what, I can take up the inking for now. I love that tangent. Thank you. Maybe one day I'll make a video essay out of it. I think that would be a fun topic to cover. But Back to actual comic talk, because I think that's where we started with this one. I the first page is inked and colored. I just need Johnny to do the backgrounds, and I'm not rushing him because I know he's super busy. I'm super busy at the end of the day. Tuesdays is supposed to be dedicated to comic day, but he has assignments to catch up on, and I'm probably gonna be passed out at some point today, so I don't mind that. But I will say, I do want it to, like, I do want to get the ball rolling on that more. I have, like, the first 5 or so pages sketched, I think. Oh shoot, did I break my stress toy? I'm gonna have to break the bad news to Johnny. But yeah, his art is genuinely, like, incredible. Like, let me pull up his Blue Sky real quick, because I think he wants to be a Blue Sky artist, not a Twitter artist. Oop, that's Publer. This is 17 notifications. Oops. I will get to those when I get to those. I retweeted. My brother has incredible art, but he had art block for so long, and it was so sad. But finally, he's posting art again. I'm gonna like and retweet this right now. God, like, look at that! Look at that! Just look at his line work. Look at his rendering. He's literally, like, so, like, chef's kiss. This is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And then he did this sketch of our dog Butters. He's so funny. Look at him. And then he drew one of the comic characters, which was really cool. And then here's some more of his art. Yeah, it does look really good. I'm also glad that he's managing to overcome this art block. All of this stuff that he's posting right now is kind of old, except for the Purple Dragonborn. That is pretty new. But this is, look at this. This is almost like 1-for-1 with the actual Borderlands 2 promotional art. And this is his character in the comic. Because again, this is based off our old campaign. This is his self-portrait. And, like, God, just look at that. This was Breath of the Wild fan art. Funny thing about this one, actually, he told me that he hated this piece, and I was like, why? It looks really good. And he said there's just always been something off about it, and me and him were just staring at it, and I was like, it's the perspective, Johnny. He is an incredible... He is. Like, I gobble up his art every single time. I steal his iPad and I gnaw on it when he's not looking. I'm kidding. But, funny thing about this one, he was asking me to critique some of his art, right? And, we were trying to fix this one, and I realized the perspective was, like, way off. So what happened here, Link was a lot smaller. I think he only occupied this much of the corner. And this creature, he wanted it to look big and imposing, but he wanted it to look far away, too, because you can't really get up close to the thing. So I was just like, Link needs to be way bigger because he needs to look a lot closer to the camera to make sure this looks further away from the camera without making it look too small. And we figured it out, and it looks great. It looks, like, way better than it was, like, just with that one edit. And, God, again, his rendering style is so pretty, and I love, like, the way he lines, too. We have very different art styles. This is just becoming an art yap stream. We have very different art styles, as you can see. Like, the main difference, I think, between his style and my style is I draw. Like, everything that I do is drawn. Like, all that ink, there was a sketch, and then you put ink over it, and then I color, and then I render, and it's that, like, that is the end of it, right? For him, a lot of his art focuses way more on, like, detailed rendering than mine does. So yeah, there's like ink here and everything, and the ink does like show some of that more of the outlines, but you can see that there is so much more attention put into the rendering than say mine. Like I still think I like put a lot of like effort into the rendering, but the detail for me doesn't come from the rendering. A lot of it comes from the lines. So like whereas with here, this is a great example. These lines, or these clothing wrinkles, they are painted in. They are not drawn in. But when you look at my clothing wrinkles, you can see that I prefer to draw them in. So his emphasis is way more on like painting, and my emphasis is way more on like ink and making it look way more like a cartoon or a comic than his is. And of course, that isn't to say that his style isn't like cartoony either. Like you can see that it's definitely way more cartoony than it is realistic. But there's like, I love the differences between our art styles because you can just see like the things that I'm trying to push more in my art versus the things he's trying to push more in his art. Your art is good too, just expressing different details differently. Both of you are great, and I'm glad I'm following you. I'm glad too, because that is a wonderful thing to say. I would say go follow my brother, but he does have a whole thing about being perceived online. So I've been hesitant to like rally my followers to be like, follow my brother. He makes such good art. I'm a little hesitant on that. I'm just waiting for him to like give me the go ahead for that. But I don't think he's gonna mind like 1 or 2 follows. I'm gonna like beat it into him to like start tagging his stuff. Just like, tag your art, Johnny. It must be seen. The world needs it. But yeah, he's an incredible artist, and you can absolutely tell that he is like actually professionally like trained and taught. I am not. I am exclusively self-taught, or almost exclusively. I've probably like picked up like some tips here and there from like other people, but this is me observing and then just doing on art. It's hilarious. Not hilarious. I don't mean it as like a self-taught is a bad thing. But it's just unfortunate that I love technical discussions about people's works. Like, I love when people get into the nitty-gritty of like, oh, here's how I did this, and here's how I did this other thing, and then here's how they worked together. Like, I love stuff like that, right? And it makes me sad that I don't see more artists do that more often. But I wish I could I wish I could explain to the same lengths as my brother on like the compositions of our like compositions and like lighting and everything that he does and that we do. Because if you asked me what I did for like any of the things that I have on the screen, anything on the screen right now, I couldn't really tell you what I did. Because all I can say is I know a habit that I want to make more of right now is I want to add more shape to my rendering, because I think it's gonna give like a more like 3D effect, like right over here, a little bit over here, right, a little bit right here too, like especially like in the hair. Being self-taught, I think, connects you more to the art itself because you were there as you learned about it. Yeah, that makes sense. Being self-taught is kind of funny because it's like I don't know any of the terms. I know very like basic things. Like I think intensity, for example, that's one of the few actual art terms that I know, and that just refers to like how like dark or light something is. And when I say dark or light, I mean like, is it like bright and shiny, or is it like more like muted and like not dull, but like closer to black, I guess I should say. Johnny can explain everything that he does in a piece. Like if I asked him like how did you do like all of this, he can say it without like any hesitation. Hey, Buttery. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. We're going to be going for about 30 minutes here. This has just become a yap session about art. But like the same way that Johnny can say everything that he does about it, can talk about everything that he does for a piece, I cannot. All I can say is the white rim lights I added make the thing pop way more to me. And then if I go ahead and just add like these like sort of pin highlights, I don't know what to call them. Like this is a rim light right here, right? But this I wouldn't say is because it's not against the. You're coming in double, and I think your mic and headphones are both. No, my. Has that been going on for the whole stream? No, the only mic on OBS is the Razer one that I have. Uh-oh. Oh, that's okay. I can just do that. Did that fix it? That should have muted the headset mic. Because I can't think of why it would be doing that. It is just this mic. And if I mute it, well, hang on, let me try something. If I do this, right, and I have that out. Or maybe my computer? Let me see. Is this... Maybe the camera computer? I don't know what it would be. Oh, I'm good now. Okay. Maybe it was the headset. I don't know. I'll just keep this muted. It's not like I'm gonna be using this now that I have this now, I guess. Might as well. Where were we? I don't remember. Anyways, yeah, I can't zoom in as much as I'd like. Can I open this in a new tab and it'll be, well, it'll look like that, but we get the point. But this right here is a rim light, but like this other space right here, these aren't. I don't know what to call them. I think highlight is probably just like the correct word to use. But I've been like incorporating a little bit more of those now, as you can see, like especially in the hair, just to once again have like a more like 3D effect. I especially like it on the sleeve here. We talked about your brother being able to, yeah. Johnny can explain things really well when it comes to art. I can't. Like, I genuinely can't. I can't tell you what's going on in this piece. He's told me already. He told me last night even that I need to work on getting like more stuff in my portfolio. That's gonna be stuff like maybe like anatomy studies, backgrounds. So there's a lot that I need to improve on. I think I'm okay at backgrounds. I like painting in backgrounds, but I don't necessarily like drawing them. And I'm not particularly great at backgrounds either. Like this one, I just did like a quick solid color and put a texture over it so that it didn't look too flat. But it still doesn't look great. That's like one of my biggest critiques for this poster for myself. I could have tried a little bit harder on the background, but I think I would have like I would have struggled a lot trying to like get it in on time if I had spent any more time on it. One thing that I did, one background that I did spend like way more time on was this one. Which, by the way, there is an Over the Garden Wall concert on Twitch, I think 7 p.m. PST, which I'm gonna hope that I can make. I think I might be out for dinner for that, though, which is unfortunate, but I will try to catch it. This background is actually the background on my website, too. That I just clicked Twitter again, I'm stupid. Yeah, my card. It's actually this. So, this was one of the ones where I think I spent, like, the most time on the background. And this is another example of intuitive knowledge for me. So, what is it? It is a great background. Thank you! Thank you. I tried to really emulate the show's style of background. It was very difficult. Again, I've never been trained. I don't know these things. I don't know what to do sometimes. So what I did for this one, I figured, well, it's daytime, so I don't want to have like a dark color being the solid back for this. That doesn't make a lot of sense. You can actually watch the time lapse for this too. I have it on YouTube. I'm on a personal account for this. I barely use my actual YouTube channel because I just dump videos here whenever. So if we skip to right about here, you can see my process for the background. It was just like a really like light color. Make that slower actually. Put it at half speed. You can see that I had the white color in a sort of gradient because again, this is supposed to be like in the middle of the day, so I didn't want to do it dark. So I knew that, like that's something like I knew for certain. And then obviously like you do the trees real quick and then another backing layer of leaves for depth. And this is the part where if I was actually like trained and taught in a class or something, this is the part where I kind of need that to explain what's going on here because I couldn't explain what's going on here if I tried. But the basic idea is there's leaves here, there's leaves back here, and somehow the difference in color makes it look like there's a depth thing going on. And that is the best I can say because I don't know how it actually works. And then more depth things, some big tall bushes, some lighter colored trees. And then you create another layer going more forward with these darker trees here. And then because these ones were like more in focus with the not camera necessarily, but with the perspective. Like you said, it came kind of naturally to you because that is how you learned it. Learned is a bold word, but this is how I learned it. I look at a thing and then I just assume that the thing that I'm looking at is correct, and I do that. But yeah, since these are going to be more closer towards the viewer, I figured that highlights were probably like more warranted on these trees, hence why I'm painting those in. A little bit more detail, less Gaussian blur on that. And then that's how that happened. And then it looked empty up here. This is the funny part of the time lapse. I wanted to paint like those bushes with like the sort of heart-shaped leaves. But again, I'm not really good at painting. So you're gonna see like the leaf dapple. You're gonna see me attempt that, and it just I was really trying so hard for it, but it just wasn't looking that good. And I'm upset. I think if I had worked a little bit more on it, it might have looked a little better. but it just wasn't happening, so I just ended up using a brush, and I still wasn't a big fan of how that ended up looking. Those bushes. Because they do look way more flat than like the rest of the painting. But their inclusion on its own already just adds for like a really nice sense of depth. This is definitely up there with, I think, one of the best things I've ever made. But yeah. I know here... By the way, I have two brothers. All three of us draw. I don't know if Clive has posted any art. Let me see. He does! Let's go! Oh, and I haven't... We're spamming his blue sky now, guys. Can you just play the music without asking me if I'm still here? I am still here. So, this is Clive's art. I'm pretty sure none of this is NSFW. So this is Clive's art. It's crazy that all three of us do art, and it's only now that, joke's on him, he's getting appreciated. Yeah, exactly. Clive's art, his art style, it's... You can tell that both me and Johnny have been doing this for a long time and way more consistently than he has, because his style is still sort of like novice, but you can tell that it's there. I love his drawings because they're always like so silly, and his style is arguably more similar to mine than it is Johnny's. So you can see here, he has, like, the big line depth stuff. I do the same thing, like, here, as you can see. And he does, like, the solid color. I think when I don't know if he renders. I think sometimes he does. But I think a lot of it is just it's either just shadows or just highlights. It's one of the two. I think he does cell shading, actually, not like painting or gradients. But I think his art is hilarious. Yeah, and he has Clive's actually cracked though, because like I've already talked about, like, oh, every time I make an OC, I just stick them in this little world that I'm building when I'm not using them for like tabletop or anything, right? Clive has like upwards of like 30 something OCs. And he has all the lore, like, memorized in his head. And he also, like, draws them all. And he has his reference sheets. And he has, like, his little, like, notes app with everything on it. And Clive is, like... I love him for that. Because he has, like, really cool ideas. His little persona here. Like, look at it. Also, he's significantly better at drawing, like, geometrical shapes than me. Like, look at those cars. That's not bad. That's really good. And then look at the perspective on the buildings too. He knows it and I don't. And I'm just like, Clive, I need you to teach me because drawing squares is difficult. Yeah, he will become unstoppable in the future, I have no doubt. But and he has great, like, yeah, here's his profile picture. This is his persona. He has, like, really cool, like, writing ideas, too, so he's another one of, like, the artist-writer, wombo combo, people in the world. He had a cool thing he mentioned to me about this one, so yes, the thing is supposed to be a German Shepherd, at the end of the day. Or it's based off of that, but because we're Filipino, he actually included, like, some Filipino mythology into it. The mythology he chose for, Damon, I think that's his name. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, because we had this conversation before. For Damon specifically, this character right here. Oh, hi, Audrey! Happy birthday! Oh my god, and Johnny, too! Johnny, we were just appreciating your art. We're appreciating Clive now. And yes, thank you for the happy birthday message. Yeah, yippee! Yippee! My brother's in chat. And so is another lovely person. But Clive has like really cool ideas. So he based a little bit of like Filipino mythology into this character right here. There is something called an aswang in the mythos. Yeah, it is neat. This is my brother Clive. All three of us draw Audrey. This is my so an aswang is actually sort of like an umbrella term for all kinds of like different shape-shifting evils in the Philippines. So because they're shapeshifters, some of them like kind of like transform into animals, and that's what we're looking at right here. And one day we come back home from picking up a pizza for dinner, and he's telling me like, "Oh, I had like this really cool idea for Damon." And I'm like, "Yeah, what is it?" And like, you know how like and he's like, "You know how there's like when you transform, there's like an anatomy change, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, sometimes you gotta like compress things to like make them fit into the new space." Something along those lines, right? I don't remember the exact wording he used. And I just kind of like joke like, tee hee hee, excuse me while I just rearrange my bones real quick. And he goes, "No, yeah, that's exactly what it is." So when this character transforms, I believe I'm on stream and I did not need to read that, Johnny. If it's not in chat, it was on Discord. So I think what it is that the bones actually like they're kind of like sponges that if they need to compress, they will compress, but otherwise they are still bone at the end of the day. And I'm like, that is such a fun body horror concept. If you didn't know, I'm a huge fan of body horror. I love it. It's like one of my favorite things. So hearing that from Clive is just like, yes, that is, yeah, gnarly, exactly. I love it. I love it so much. We have like so many like me and Clive, we just like bounce ideas off of each other, just like pop, 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 pop. But yeah, I love the body horror that he uses. One of these characters I think is supposed to be like sort of like a biblically accurate angel of sorts. It might be this one. But yeah, we all follow each other on Blue Sky. We're all very silly. Johnny, I'm looking at your art. I'm showing it on stream. Boom. But yeah, yeah. I love talking about art. It's the silliest thing to me. What else has been going on as of late? Oh, so tomorrow I actually have a day off again because hilariously enough, I thought the Halloween event that happened, what was it? I thought the Halloween event that happened Sunday was supposed to be tomorrow, and I was like, oh, it makes sense in my head. It's so nice that you and your siblings support each other and bounce ideas off of each other like that. Yeah, there have been a lot of nights in the past where we all just hang out in my room up here, and we're all just like yapping back and forth at each other, working on our things. I love those nights. We don't do it as much anymore because I think a lot of us can't really afford to like be up past thank you. Can't really afford to be up past too late. Both Johnny and Clive have school. I have work. So you can't stay up too late anymore, but like whenever we're all in the same room, it's really nice. I do miss like those funny yap nights. Though. We'll figure it out. Yeah, the Halloween event that was supposed to be, that was on Sunday, was actually, I thought it was for tomorrow, so I had requested tomorrow off too. So I have an extra day off this week besides my birthday, which is really nice because I feel like I've just been getting like swamped with everything. I told my manager, about the birthday poster and the Halloween one-shot poster and the Halloween one-shot itself and the events, and she's like, girl, are you like stressed right now? Like, or like, how are you, or something like, how are you not stressed? I'm like, I am. I'm very stressed. Johnny at one point had talked about like it's like he was just like, it's wild, Kyra, that you just went to work, right? And then you come home and you're still doing work, and I'm like, I know. Something is wrong with me. Cause it was like a night I just got back from like the game store or something. And I went straight into like writing my one shot, and he was like, I can't believe like you're still like it, because writing the one shot is part of the job, right? So it's like I went to work, I came back home, and then I went back to work at home, which is, I don't mind it. I love writing the one shots. I actually really missed DMing. I didn't realize how much I missed it until I like sat there in front of everyone, and it was like, this is fun. I love the role playing. I love the absolutely mediocre voice acting I bring to the table. One of the players on not yesterday, Sunday, actually really complimented me. She said I was doing a great job, and I was just like, thank you, because I have no idea what I'm doing at any given point in time. Yeah. Hey, let me show off the poster again, because the character that I specifically had a lot of fun, like the NPC, was this lady, right here. I need to turn on the brightness so the camera. Oops. Is this lady right here. I love the camera is making the iPad look wonky, like the 0.5 zoom on the iPhone, like, right? She is a vampire. I wanted to make up my own vampire lore, cause at least one point in time, we were playing Vampire the Masquerade. Like my cousin was running it, cause she usually does like the DMing work. Thank you for saying it looks really nice. I love that in Vampire the Masquerade there are like multiple clans of vampires, like the Nosferatu, the Malkavians, the Ventrus, stuff like that. I thought that was like really cool, right? I think it makes a lot of sense. So I wanted to like create my own like different branches of vampires. So for Ikora, all vampires are descended from 3 original lords. There was the bat, there was the spider, and then there was the leech. I wanted to add a 4th one in there, but I couldn't think of another blood-sucking animal that wasn't mosquitoes, and we hate mosquitoes in this world, so... should draw Astarion as a mosquito, that'd be funny. Yeah, I'll put that on the backlog. I'm sure that'll be a funny surprise for Twitter. But yeah, so this lady right here, her name is the lady I just showed on stream. Her name is Tarantella. So the arachnid vampires, they have like an extra set of Calicera. Your tab has a fever dreams. Yeah, poor Aerie, and she wakes up and she like she's like swatting away, and then she actually accidentally like hits Astarion in the process. That's exactly what happens. Oh no. The amount of shenanigans I write about those two. That's for another topic. But so the vampire lords who are descended from the spider vampires, they have like an extra pair of Calicera. Thank you, Audrey. They have an extra pair of Calicera. Their fangs are gonna be thinner, I think, but longer than like a bat, for example. Because I think when you look at bat fangs, they're still very like animalistic, like they're still canines. But on a tarantula, for example, like those are needles. Those are like they're very fine, as opposed to like an actual canine tooth. And then she also has like the extra set of spider eyes here that can like move independently from each other. Because I think that's how spider eyes work. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to like research that. Um, so she has like a very, very fun design, and it was very fun like role playing out like the body horror of like her looking at one character over here and her eyes just sort of like over to another one. Um, yeah, Audrey. If you if you wanted to know, I don't know if you've seen Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but she is based off of Big Mama from the show. I love her. Like, I wrote her to be very narcissistic and eccentric at the same time. You can tell she was evil, but she was so like the point was that she was supposed to be. Oh yeah, that I highly recommend it if you have Netflix or some other way to watch it. It's I think it's one of like the best cartoons I've ever seen on TV as of late. But anyways, yeah, it's really good. Anyways, yeah. I wrote Tarantella to be very like narcissistic and dramatic and eccentric, because in my head she's absolutely evil, right? Like there's no getting around that in my opinion. But I didn't want her to come off as like directly evil. I wanted it to be like very like corporate sort of evil in a sense, like eccentric billionaire corporate evil, but like still very goofy, very whimsical at the end of the day, and it's that whimsiness that sort of makes you forget that the vampire spawn that she does like have at her jewelry store and everything, that they are still like her slaves at the end of the day. It's just she she has like she's so good at putting on this facade of like, oh, I'm just like a whimsical silly vampire, that a lot of times you might not catch it right away. Which I thought was fun. Like my players were definitely like eyeing her like suspiciously, but they were also like laughing alongside her. But yeah. Um so that was fun. I still have yet to like decide on like the anatomy for the other vampire sort of breeds there are in Akora. Um, she sounds amazing and hilarious. If I get to run the one shot tomorrow, I will do it. I will clip all the funny voice moments from there and I will send them to you. Um, but I still have yet to decide. I think the bat ones are just going to be like the standard ones that you find in the D&D rule books and everything. There's not really a lot to change, I think, mostly because there is no reason to change it. As for the leeches, that one I'm particularly excited for because that means I get to do more body horror, and we love horrendous scarring body horror in this house. Not that my art is ever going to be able to reflect how grotesque it actually is, but the implication is there, and I have fun with it. The leech ones, I think, are going to be... I definitely want them to have... Yeah, it is Halloween, too. It's almost Halloween. You don't understand how happy I am that I... You don't understand what it is to, like, be a horror fan and have your birthday so close to Halloween. It's so, like my brain is like so wired for it. It's so fun. Um but I think for the leeches, I think what might be a fun idea, because if I'm right, leeches don't have eyes, right? Is anyone squeamish about leeches? I hope not. I don't think they have eyes. It doesn't look like it, as far as I can tell. I think a cool thing for the leech vampires is all of their teeth are sharp. It's not just their canines that turn into fangs. I think that would be a fun thing, and maybe they have like an extra row or two of teeth to like sort of like mimic like the suction sort of thing. But I think the big one that I want to do is that they have no eyes, like their eyelids sort of like fuse, and it's just skin over the eye sockets. I think that it would be a really fun idea for like a leech vampire. Which is definitely gonna be fun to draw. Yeah, creepy. They're not. Yeah. Someone had to desexualize vampires at some point. It probably should have been me. I'm kidding. You can still. I just love body horror. I enjoy it so much. But yeah, I like that idea. So it's like like the bat vampires are just the standard ones. I thought of another critter that drinks blood. Oh boy. You want to share? It's really icky. Well, thankfully I have a strong stomach, but I can't say the rest for anyone else who's in chat right now. What kind of animal is it? It's called a tongue louse. Oh, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Do not maximize that window. They live in they essentially like eat a fish's tongue and they live inside of them, right? Yeah. I watched a YouTube short about it, I think. Or maybe it was a TikTok originally. I don't use TikTok. I like YouTube shorts. But yeah, I love the parasitism idea. For an aquatic breed of vampires, because I think unironically aquatic vampires do exist in Forgotten Realms. Let me see if I can find that. Vampire. Yeah, I am on this wiki like so much sometimes. Not necessarily to read about lore, but just to like look at stuff sometimes. Even yeah, the amount of things that can contract vampirism is hilarious. So humanoids, obviously, monstrous humanoids, which I don't know what that means. You can turn the Illithids in Baldur's Gate 3 into vampires if you really wanted to, which is hilarious to me. Again, a giant, which is insane, and then even a dragon, which is like, who just. So they still have a squid beak, or do the mind flayers have squid beaks? I don't think they do. Mind flayer mouth. Am I gonna regret this? I'm like, yeah. So the mind flayers, if it could click onto the thing, yeah. So the mind flayers don't have beaks, it seems. Yeah, like a lamprey. Which, you know, makes enough sense. They eat from the cranium. Like, a beak would be a little like a beak would be a little difficult to I think chomp through that. But yeah. There was a page, varieties. There's a strange amount of like there's obviously like the more yeah, awkward. There's a weird the interesting thing about like D&D stuff is always going to be like the amount of variety there is, because it's not just vampirism, as you can see. There's a number of ways to do the whole vampire thing, which I think is hilarious. I think There was like, I think I was on the undead page actually. Yeah, I think it was this one. Velia are aquatic vampires, you're right. Yeah, there we go. I think it was on this page. Some specialty priests of ocean deities and realms were granted a limited version of Turn Undead that could only affect an aquatic undead. But that's nothing. Yeah, there it is. There it is. The Velia strain of vampirism, which... That is... I think the tongue louse will definitely be interesting for that, but I have to think a little bit hard about how that's gonna work design-wise. But it is definitely a starting point. But yeah, I love stuff like this. Yeah, how could you make a person a louse? Well, you see, if we just look it up. I'm so good at character design, you don't understand. Tongue louse. Don't necessarily want the wiki, we'll just look it up. If we Google it, we'll just get a picture of Jeff Bezos. True! No, we just get gooberfish images. I can definitely do something with this. Give me a few seconds, because they're not too bad. They're kind of not arachnid-like, but they have a shell. Like an isopod. That is like 50% of D&D, Googling the wildest stuff. Yeah, this is where we're at. If I were to make this into a vampire, what would I do? I think there's definitely... It would have to be an aquatic species or aquatic strain of vampirism, that's for sure. There's no questions about that. Aquatic for sure. So I could get away with like these plates right here. I think absolutely could like cover some parts of the skin, like maybe around the joints or the forearm, or the back of the neck. I think the back of the neck would look really good. It's just you don't normally draw characters from the back. What else? Could I get a... These are freaky images. This is great. Stealing voices is definitely a fun one. Yeah, this one looks like a shrimp, kind of. Stealing voices is definitely something. I think they definitely have eyes, but it does look like they're like something has grown over it anyways. So I can't imagine they can see. Not like seeing underwater is the most useful thing sometimes. These oh, look at this one. Like peekaboo. Hey guys. The fish is just like wah. Shells. What else could I do? I think the little feet, like sort of like growing out of the chin, is another like interesting thing. Or no, actually, yeah. If these things have to like grip onto the fish, then I think it absolutely makes sense that they also have like the things like around their jaw, and then like when they latch onto people, like maybe they don't bite the neck. Actually, maybe they sort of act like a siren, kind of, and they'll seduce their prey. But when it's like when they're like leaning in for a kiss, it's like these things just kind of like grab onto like the cheeks or the jawline of someone, and then they bite out the tongue. Is that really like a vampire though? I have to think. I will be debating on this. Maybe it could be like a different like strain of like undeath in the sea. Like The world building is always interesting because there's so much to account for sometimes, and but I am glad that I am a strong world builder at the end of the day because I am not a great writer. Um, so I have put a lot of thought into like underwater societies, like an alien worth it. Actually, yeah, that is a great idea. The inner mouth of the alien. That is actually such a good idea. Um, but I have given a little bit of thought to like underwater society in my little comic world. Um, your true love. there's uh, there's maybe like you might be the only person in chat who gets that. Sunbatson. For context, I watch another streamer and he was playing Alien Isolation, and there was one stream where I was especially. I'm not gonna. I won't say horny because um, that's a little crude for joking on chat. Um, but I will say there was definitely alien simping going on, and it's come to the point where I'm like, I should just draw this at this point. This would be funny. Um, so that's the context there behind that one chat message. Um, because if it's eating the tongue, it's not really drinking the blood is the thing, and that's what I primarily want to focus on, right? Because that's what vampirism is at the end of the day. What might be fun is... Let me think. I like the... I think, yeah, they live in there is the thing, which is what makes this hard. What it could be is, maybe the lice themselves are the vampires, right? So, they're infected with this one strain. You're definitely not alone about those feelings, for the xenomorph. Thank you. I'm not crazy. Um, Thank you for validating my delusions. I'm kidding. What it could be is that the parasites themselves are the vampires, and when they feed on people, that's when people like transform. So it's not necessarily like maybe 2 puncture wounds to the neck. It's instead when this person is talking, there is a bug living inside their mouth, and they have like physical changes. Which I think is going to be a lot easier and more in line with like actual vampire lore. And speaking of vampire lore, the Aswang I was talking about earlier, those are also like sort of vampire creatures. I think this might be the last thing, and then I'm gonna go downstairs so my parents aren't concerned about what I'm doing up here and stealing all the internet. So Aswang are also this is the Filipino vampire. This is all of these are incredibly inaccurate except for this one. Well, what's cool about these guys, and it pains me that I haven't found a proper way to do this. You know what? If there was a mosquito vampire, it would be them. Because you can see they have fangs here, right? But the thing about them is that they don't actually use those fangs to drink blood. What they instead have is a long proboscis-like tongue that can sort of like shoot out like a harpoon, and that's how they drink from people. So it's a vampire with a ranged attack. That is probably like the worst way to put it, but it's true. Yeah. They're really interesting, and there's like tons of different kinds of them. This one specifically, I think in Tagalog it's the manananggal. You could definitely combine that if the tongue also spreads the... Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's cool. Next stream we'll draw vampires. How about that? We'll have a vampire drawing stream next time. Maybe tomorrow, maybe not. We'll see. I still have to get my Huion set up for drawing on my desktop, and I still need to like ask my manager if I can have my Tuesdays off so I can keep doing this at a reasonable time. This is called the Manananggal in Tagalog, but in Bisaya it's called the tikwi because that's the noise they make. They go like tikwi, tikwi, right? And here's the fun part about them, and this is what I love about horror. This is like the fun part. At night, their upper torsos separate from their bottom half, and they sprout these wings and they fly around looking for victims, right? The reason why in Bisaya it's called the tikwi is because yeah, what? Like, yeah, it's insane. I'm telling you, like Filipino lore goes hard. The reason why it's called the tikwi is because it's the noise that it makes, right? But there's a little bit more to it than that. I believe the legend goes, if you're walking down the street and you hear the tikwi, like, around you, you obviously, like, want to move away from it, right? But the cool thing about it is, when it makes the noise, the farther it sounds, the closer it is to you, actually. Which is just such a, like, that is such a fun, like, thing to play with. Like, that is, like, imagine you hear it, like, in the distance and you think you're safe, and then all of a sudden, you're getting mauled to death by this. Yeah. And, no, play the fun Temporal Tower music, YouTube. And, like, it's really, like, it really is, like, I think one of the cooler ones. It reminds me of this one cryptid. I forget what it's called. I watch a lot of Wendigoon. It was somewhere in the cryptid iceberg. That one has, like, a similar sort of trick that it plays. Its feet are backwards, so when it runs, the footprints it leaves behind are going in the opposite direction, right? So, if you follow the tracks, and you don't want to run into it, and you're running, like, in the opposite direction of the tracks, you are actually running right toward, like, directly towards it. And that's just, like, I love it. Kurupira? It might be. I don't think that was it, but I could try looking it up. If I could spell. Oh, it might actually be. Yeah. Or it was something similar to this. But yeah, it's like such a fun thing to like play with. It's like that, like, it is devious, it is unfair, and it is exactly what I think one of the things that makes horror like really horror. It's like the unfairness of the situations and like, how am I gonna survive this? On a topic of like the vampire aswongs, we go back to these. One time, I like to torment Clive over Discord. It's very funny. I'll send him like cursed images and cursed memes, because what is sibling affection if not that? And the thing about these types of aswongs, they don't just prey on like regular old people. I think their main targets are pregnant women. I think they're actually used to explain, like, a lot of miscarriages, right? So, like, oh, like, suddenly you're not pregnant and you're not carrying the baby anymore. Well, you probably got an aswang might have snuck into the house and drank the embryo from you in the middle of the night. Very gross stuff. Very, very kind of nasty. But my favorite thing was sending Clive like a picture of an aswang, and I think was just sending a picture of an aswang and then a Capri Sun, and then just writing the words "the forbidden juice pouch," which has to be one of the worst jokes I've ever made. But yeah. I don't even think he responded to it. But yeah. I love mythology, I love lore, and I love writing it into like world building. Oh my, yeah, I I have on really good days I just have the most cursed things to say and it's not fun. I do psychological warfare against my brother because I love him. But yeah. I love lore, I love mythology, and I love world building. And hopefully I'll be able to get better at writing. I'm not great at it. I'm good at doing comic dialogue, at the very least, but everything else, no. True sibling love. Yeah. If you're not committing acts of psychological warfare with your siblings, do you really love your siblings? Anyways. Yeah. I'm hoping writing gets a little bit easier. I think I'm definitely gonna be a lot better at writing like comics than I am like narratives or just not narratives uh like books and stuff. Cause I've given a lot of thought about this. I've like deliberated like, okay, pros and cons of each. If I turn this into a book, I only need to write and make the cover art. However, I am horrendous at writing at the worst of times. I run into writer's block very easily, and oftentimes I just don't know how to continue because I can't think of the right words. However, it definitely would have been the less like the not stressful, not less stressful, but the more forgiving work physically, I think. The pros of the comic was realistically I only need to write the dialogue. If I need to write anything else about a scene, it's just cliff notes because those cliff notes are going to be submitted. Not sub. I say submitted like I have multiple people working on this. It's just me and my brother, illustrating the comic. I'm supposed to be on sketch and rendering. He's supposed to be on ink and backgrounds, but for the time being, I'm taking up like sketch, ink, and rendering, and he's going to be painting my backgrounds because I love how he paints his backgrounds. But anyways, the pros to writing the comic, it is way less like writing intensive than I think like say something a novel would be because all it is just I write the dialogue and I draw the scene because at least the scene is in my head and I don't need to think of any fancy words to describe what's happening. The cons of that, however, comic work is a lot at the end of the day. Like I've done it before. If you look on my Twitter, there are old like comics that I have up there. So what it is, all it is really when I think about like doing the comic work, it's oh my god, I have so much to draw, which is part of the reason why I like doing the big posters because they've really like built up like sort of an endurance thing for me. So when I did the comic pages before, like yeah, they took a while, but at least one comic page doesn't take me like 19 days or a month. One comic page maybe takes me like 2 to 3 days depending on like schedules and stuff. And at least this time around I'll be having somebody else help me, which is really nice. I am going to be paying Johnny, like absolutely. I think we agreed to something along the lines of $30 to $40 a page. Something like that. It's just I need to ask him again because we haven't actually like completely like fully got started yet. But yeah. He has to the one thing about it is that he has to learn my inking style because his inking style is very different from mine. I think he very commonly uses the thin lines, but I use like something a little bit thicker. So we tried it once. I had a sketch, he inked it, and then I colored and rendered. And then he did like some final touch-ups and it looked okay. But you can tell that our styles for drawing like people don't really line up all that well. Um because I think again, if so much of my detailing is focused on the inking, and his is so much more focused on the rendering, then there's like a disconnect. Typically, when you want something to look more painted, like his art style is, like if I pull it up again, um, you're generally gonna want thinner lines, just because I think it helps with the translation between like what's happening on the canvas to the viewer. So this is probably not a great example because the lines here are pretty. Yeah, this is really pretty. Do you look at his backgrounds? This is like so much more beyond anything that I can make. And I'm so excited to have him do the backgrounds for the comic. But let me see. This is a better example. This is a much better example. You generally want thinner lines when you have a rendering style like this, because I think what it is that if you put too much detail in both of them, it's gonna look overdone in a sense. If you put all your details in both the line art and the rendering, it's going to muddy the view. So that's why it didn't work, I think, when we tried it out. Um, my rendering style just is entirely different from his. There is detail in my rendering, but there isn't a lot of like again, like like clothing wrinkles again. Johnny will paint those in, but I draw them in. Um so when we tried that, it didn't look great, and you can tell that it wasn't really going to work out. So the compromise was Johnny learns how to do my style of inking, which is just very clean, a little bit thicker outlines, and dynamic line depth, right? The thing about that is that um, that's going to require him to like learn it, which isn't necessarily a problem. I think the way that I do line art is very simple, but at the same time, it's very trained. I can't describe how I do it, just that after doing this for so long, there's a lot of muscle memory that comes with it all. So I know how much pressure I'm gonna put on a pen, like very intuitively. Like my wrist and my hand know what to do, but I can't put it to words. So it became like a very like funny little like conversation, because he was asking me like, Kyra, how do you do this? And I was like, how do you, because when he was doing like experimental strokes and stuff, um he was like, he drew the line and it was like super thick and then it tapered. It's like, how do you control that? And the funny thing that I told him was, I don't actually. If we zoom in again, you can tell that there's like glimpses of like that sort of tapering off, like here, especially here at the legs. But as for the rest of it, there's not a lot of like dynamic uh changes in width to be had. Like maybe a little bit here and there, but for the most part, the lines do stay relatively thick. I love your channel. Can't wait for the next stream. Have to go pick up your kids. Yeah. Drive safe and have a great rest of your day. I think we're gonna be wrapping up pretty soon because I need to pee. But anyways, it's you can see that like a lot of this is just very much just like it's pretty consistent. Thank you for the birthday wishes. We are going to be wrapping up soon because I do want to go downstairs and spend time with the fam. But yeah, it's really consistent. The only times where it's like majorly tapering off is when the line ends and it's not continuing into another one. So that was something that I had to explain to him really quick, and I think he mostly got it. But for the time being, I am going to be the one inking the comics until things get more free, until he gets more free time. But yeah, I think that's the last thing I want to talk about. I've dropped like everything that I've been fidgeting with on the floor, so I think that is definitely it for stream. If stream is happening tomorrow, I don't know, but if it is, it's going to be a D&D session. It's going to be the Halloween one-shot I've been talking about. And if not, next stream will hopefully be Tuesday next week, because I'm going to be back at my second job. Ah! I'm sorry! I'm so sorry! You just got there. I'll be here next week! I can only do this, like, yeah. I can only do this, like, once a week because work is just so busy, and the time frames that I get for work... Yeah, hi, Addie. D&D one shot, yes. If it's I'm going to make sure it happens tomorrow one way or another, or I'm going to make sure I get to run D&D on stream one way or another. But, yeah. I can only do this, like, once a week because of work schedule and stuff. If I could figure out, like, a different thing, I would do it, but, yeah. Anyways, next week, same time, yeah, 11:30 to 2:30. I think that's a good run time. Alrighty. Music's gonna pop off. Anyways, yeah, bye everyone! It was really nice chatting with you, and thank you again for all the birthday wishes, and I hope all of you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!